How is good everyone today with my WWE RAW The Year of 2018 review video. Of course, if you guys have not checked out my NXT The Year of 2018 video first, feel free to check that out before this video. If you guys have, thank you for watching. And of course, this video, again, will be pretty much the same way that video went about, the same format. A few different categories. They're all pretty much the same for the most part, besides maybe one or two of them. But besides that, same format, same formula, pretty much same everything. And yeah, that wasting more time, let's go ahead and jump right into the video with my overall thoughts on Raw this year in 2018. WWE Monday Night Raw. Yikes. To say the least, Raw this year was not good. Was not good at all. You know, there were some times where Raw was actually absolutely horrendous. There's some times where it was actually pretty decent. There were some times where it was actually, you know, good. And for the very, very rare occasion, a great Raw. But yeah, just not a good year for WWE in general. Just, you know, the superstar shakeup, they call it, whatever, really messed the talent up as well. I feel like they did a lot of wrong moves in terms of talent moving. I feel like they moved a lot of their top guys on Raw to SmackDown Live, which I felt definitely hurt Raw, because then it, you know, the roster just seems so thin on Raw, and there really isn't that top tier guy, especially now with Roman Reigns gone. There really isn't that top tier guy on Raw, and just, I don't know, Raw just doesn't have the value of its name. You know, Raw is supposed to be this huge, valuable market show, right? And it doesn't have the roster nor the booking for it. So, I don't know, you know, Raw has fallen such a far, Raw has fallen off such a far cliff that it's still falling. You know, it's still going down. It's not, you know, getting rescued anytime soon. And I hope things improve, you know, especially with their promise that things will change at the new era, whatever. But I just don't really have faith for it, you know, especially, you know, Raw used to be such a memorable show. Back then, I remember things that happened, you know, from Raw months ago. Like right now, I can tell you the Raw, the week after WrestleMania 24, right? JBL's announced as Randy Orton's next challenger for the WWE Championship. And what happens? Triple H comes out, interrupts, and John Cena comes out, interrupts, and then I'm qualifying for the match at Backlash. Like, I can remember that shit right off the top of my head, because that's when Raw was good and memorable. Another Raw, the Raw before, I think it was a week after Unforgiven 08, where Jericho was world champion. Shawn Michaels was announced as the #1 contender with the ladder, announced the ladder match for No Mercy. And of course, the Go Home showed No Mercy on Raw. DX taking on Chris Jericho and Lance K. Like, little shit like that. Like, I'd be able to remember shit from Raw like that, no problem, because it was good and made an impact. But nowadays, Raw, I can barely remember what happened the week prior to Raw. It's just so forgettable, and it's on an all-time bad. And I don't like to be one of those people that sits there and tries to be negative, because believe it or not, regardless of if you follow me on Twitter and see my tweets about Raw, I try to be positive about it. I try to be on, you know, look at the positive things, but it's so bad to the point where I can't even defend anything they do anymore. So 2018, not a good year for Raw, to say the least. I can bury it for hours, but what's the point of that? I'm just beating a dead horse at that point. So Raw was not good in 2018. Point simple, which actually made this very, very hard to construct this list, because I couldn't think of any moments or, you know, particularly any people for some of these categories. It was just, I had to really, really think, and some of these, honestly, I kind of just gave to whoever came off the top of my head first off. I didn't really put much thought into it, so if some of these are like really inaccurate to you know, you guys watching, it's because honestly I probably couldn't think of anyone better for that spot, and I was just too lazy to go back and try to look up anything memorable. So just heads up, this list was hard to construct because I couldn't honestly think of much that stood out and fit these categories. So if some of them were kind of like, whoa, you gave to that, keep that in mind. So of course, first one we have is Theme Song of the Year. Wasn't very hard. I gave this one to Drew McIntyre's Gallantry, I believe it's called, Defining Moments theme. I actually like the first version a lot more, but I feel like his heel version, the moment you hear it, it's kind of like one of those things where, like, you know, whoever, you know, when he's coming out, whoever's in the ring is gonna get their ass kicked, you know. So I think it's a badass song. You know, the dun 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 dun. I just think it sounds like a badass song overall. So in my personal opinion, I give Theme Song of the Year to Drew McIntyre. From there, I'm going to go to Female Superstar of the Year. To me, there's only two people that rank contention for this spot, but I feel like with the year she had in terms of just making her debut at WrestleMania, the singles matches she's had, and the run she's had, and, you know, the promos to keep improving with her, I feel like she definitely deserves to have Female Superstar of the Year, and that being Ronda Rousey. You know, I think she definitely had the best year out of everyone. The only person I'd say I'd rival her would be Alexa Bliss, but I feel like, you know, after WrestleMania, well, actually more so after SummerSlam, she kind of just fell off the scale. You know, she's still being used, obviously, and right now she's not wrestling because of the whole concussion thing and whatnot, but I feel like her position as top, you know, female superstar really drifted away after SummerSlam, and she kind of got to the back burner of Ronda Rousey. So, and like I said, the year Ronda Rousey had, she had a breakout performance at WrestleMania. The singles matches she had with Nia Jax were really good, which is almost seemingly impossible for anyone to get a good match with Nia Jax. And she just, you know, she really goes out there and performs and really delivers most of the time. So in my opinion, Ronda Rousey gets gets Female Superstar of the Year. Speaking of most, this one's kind of difficult because I honestly couldn't think of anyone. Most improved. I tried to scale the roster and I tried to think of people that had improved tremendously, and honestly I couldn't think of anyone. So this one's kind of a joke one, give or take, but I will give most improved to the B team of all people, just because I feel like they really proved themselves as a tag team. Now when they were with the Miz, they were entertaining, but you know, I think most people just thought they were entertaining because they're with the Miz. But once they went on their own, they broke out, they got over to an extent. You know, the crowd was actually behind the B team. They had a nice little run as tag champs. You know, obviously after, you know, a while they got old. I think people turned them very quickly, but when they first started off as a B team, they got over, the crowd was behind them, and their skits were pretty funny. They had some good segments as well. And I just feel like, you know, compared to where they were a year ago to now, I mean, obviously right now they're not doing anything and they're rarely on TV nowadays, but I feel like their transition, you know, from where they were at with the Miz Taraj to them, you know, being the Raw Tag Team Champions and going out there and carrying themselves, you know, I feel like they're pretty worthy of being most improved. So I will give most improved to the B team. From there, we go to Best Network Special. Now, this one was pretty easy because even though a lot of these network specials are fucking fantastic and must-see, there was one that honestly I can say is probably one of the best wrestling documentaries I've ever seen in my life, and that is the Hardy's Woken 24 special. That was just, it's mind-blowingly great. If you haven't seen that, I don't know what the hell is, you know you're waiting on, because that special just had all the emotions you could feel for both guys. It shows things that you wouldn't think that we would acknowledge, and it really is a rise and fall, or it's more of like a rise, fall, and rise again for these guys, and you really you know go through their journey and realize, you know, they're not just wrestlers, they're real people. And I think a lot of people have a mentality with wrestlers anyways that they're not just wrestlers, they're real people. You don't need a documentary to prove that, but this one really shows, because they had a lot of downfalls in their lives and they were able to overcome and adapt and present themselves as bigger stars than ever. So I think the Hardy's Woken WWE 24 special on the network definitely gets best network special of the year if you ask me. From there, I'm going to I keep saying missed, most disappointing match of the year. Now, this one you could probably give to a handful of matches, because let's just be honest, all the Raw matches for the most part, at least on pay-per-view, don't deliver. And you can, like I said, you could give this honestly to a handful of matches, but there's one match that, you know, obviously I think going into, people thought it was going to be like this, but I think people like myself had the hope that it'd be great, considering that their first match, you know, took the world by, you know, storm and was surprisingly an amazing match. And I think a lot of people thought, you know, took that into account to the rematch as well. Like, even though, you know, with the way one guy has been performing in his matches, I think he'll be able to deliver on this stage and have a great match with his opponent, but obviously that didn't happen. The match I'm referring to is Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 34. Just such a boring and, you know, just lame match. All it was F5, 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 suplex, F5, F5, suplex, 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 Superman punch, spear, spear, Superman punch, spear, F5, suplex. That's the entire match. That's all it was. And, you know, I was disappointed. I honestly didn't believe that they could live up to their first match from WrestleMania 31 and put on a great main event, despite, you know, the way Lesnar was being booked, you know, for the year prior to, you know, his 5-minute squash matches. But I thought, you know, it's WrestleMania main event. I think he'll be willing to work with Roman Reigns like he did at WrestleMania 31. But boy, was I wrong. And he didn't want to work that day at all. And him and Roman Reigns had a horrible main event. And, you know, I mean, shocking finish. You know, no one expected Lesnar to retain, but it doesn't cover the fact that it was a terrible match. So that was my most disappointing match, because, like I said, I genuinely did have hope that it'd be a great match, despite, you know, Lesnar's booking at the time, and just didn't deliver. So that's why I got my most disappointing match of the year. Most overrated. This one was simple because this man was on TV way more than he should have been. At one point, he was on like 5 seconds a show, and despite that I liked him, not liked, because I still enjoy him at times, there was no reason for him to be in a prominent role that he was in, and that definitely being Baron Corbin. You know, from being, you know, the constable to the acting general manager, this guy was just all over Monday Night Raw, and he was in 15 segments a show. It was just, oh man, he was just way too overexposed, and it just got to the point where it's just like, okay, obviously he's not delivering. Why the fuck do you keep putting him in that prominent role that he's in when he underdelivers every single time? But I don't know. But yeah, I just got tired of seeing Baron Corbin, so he definitely gets my most overrated superstar of the year for Raw. From there, we go to most underrated superstar. Now, this one was hard because, again, I had to scale the roster and really pick that who hasn't been really being represented that well, who hasn't been used to their full potential. And even though this person I picked to fill this role has been almost used weekly. He's on TV almost weekly, it seems. He still has never been put in a prime position. He's always just there. You know, he's never in a legitimate feud. He's never really in the top picture at all for any championship. He's there, and to me, he's a bona fide star, so I don't know why they don't present him as one, but most underrated, I should say, Superstar of the Year, to me, goes to Finn Balor. Like I said, you know, even though he's on TV weekly, he's never used in a prominent role, you know, and he's the biggest victim of 50-50 booking. One week he wins, and you think there's hope that they're going to push him, and then next week he loses, and he loses again, then he wins, and he loses. It's always 50-50 with him, and, you know, now, obviously, I think it's becoming more clear that they're getting a little more behind him, but just the entire year, and pretty much, you can go back to ever since he's been back from last year, he's just done absolutely nothing. He's been in pointless feuds that no one's enjoyed. He's just floundering around, and I definitely think Finn Balor gets most underrated in terms of being used. So, up to him. Feud of the Year. Now, honestly, nothing really sticks out in my mind as Feud of the Year besides this feud, because I remember just being really pumped for their match at WrestleMania, and just I thought the build for it was great as well. And that being Kurt Angle and Ronda Rousey versus Triple H, Stephanie McMahon. I think that had the best build in terms of any program on Raw this year. You know, dating back to Elimination Chamber, going all the way to WrestleMania, even the post stuff, you know, from Raw, like what, a month ago, whenever it was, I don't know, it was like some ceremony Steph did for Ronda, and Ronda pretty much got in Steph's face and whatnot. I don't really remember what the segment was to be exact, but you know, it carries over still. It's still ongoing to this day. Well, maybe not anymore considering the fact that they're restarting everything, but I feel like that build going to WrestleMania had the most interest going to WrestleMania too in terms of build wise. So I'll go ahead and give Triple H and Stephanie McMahon taking on Kurt Angle and Ronda Rousey as Feud of the Year. Face of the Year, I'm gonna go ahead and give it to Braun Strowman. I feel like they've really built him majority of the year as their top face, besides Roman Reigns. You know, obviously he has been put in, you know, a main event. I mean, he's a main event guy, but he's not ever really put in the main event up until Roman Reigns obviously, you know, had to leave. But, you know, I just feel like he's a person most people liked, and you know, there's some comedy stuff that people are we're getting sick of, and you know, him turning heel for a little bit and him being a dick to Kevin Owens. I feel like for the most part still, you know, Braun Strowman was the guy that they were able to get the most cheers for in terms of a person on the roster. So I'll go ahead and give my face of the year to Braun Strowman. Markout moment of the year. To me, this is my markout moment of the year just because it was completely unexpected. I remember jumping on my seat when it happened, and that was when the Shield reunited to take out Braun Strowman when he tried to cash in Roman Reigns after SummerSlam, and then Ambrose and Rollins came out and did the Shield beatdown, the powerbomb, the whole 9 yards with those three, and I remember just losing my shit and loving every second of it, even though the next week they didn't even acknowledge the Shield. They weren't together at all, but I feel like the moment they had in Barclays the night after SummerSlam definitely was a memorable one. So the Shield reuniting gets my markout moment of the year just because it was so unexpected, and it definitely popped up huge for it. So that was great. And this one's kind of a joke one because what can you pinpoint for this? Tag team of the year. Now, Raw is notable for having a horrible tag team division. Their tag team champions usually a joke. And, you know, it was pretty hard to pick out a tag team. But this one, I feel like they had the most consistent matches. And I feel like they're just overall the best tag team they had. That being Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler. I feel like the run as tag team champions were okay. I mean, they had great matches with, you know, Ambrose and Rollins, the Revival. And that's probably it, to be perfectly honest. But I don't know. I feel like they were tag team for like, what, 6 months out of the year? So, I mean, compared to them and the B Team, AOP, or any other tag team, really, that's been on Raw, I don't think anyone was more consistent and coherent, is that the word I'm looking for? I don't know, something like that, as a tag team. So, I don't know. I just gave that to them because, honestly, like I said, it's a joke division of a tag division on Raw anyway, so it doesn't really matter. From there we go to Best on the Mic. Now this one was really hard because I feel like Raw's promos are scripted to be the worst, and it's hard for a lot of people to deliver, and I'm gonna give it to this guy just because I feel like no matter what material he's given, he goes out there and delivers with it, and that's Paul Heyman. You know, I don't think there's ever been a bad Paul Heyman promo. Even the material he's given, even though a lot of his promos nowadays are the exact same, I still feel like his delivery is still great, and you know, he still captivates an audience when he talks. So I just give it to Paul Heyman because honestly I couldn't think of anyone else. Speaking of not being able to think of anyone else, Heel of the Year. Now this one was hard because there really isn't a top heel on Raw. And if there was, they keep turning them. Now, you can say Drew McIntyre is a top heel. You know, Braun Strowman was a top heel for about a month before they turned them back face. But no one really sticks out as the top heel on Raw. You know, their star power, like I said earlier, is definitely, you know, lacking. But this person, I give this person only because I don't remember anyone being so hated and everyone having such a desire to not see him as champion in almost, I don't know how long. and that being Brock Lesnar. And like I said, I'm only giving it to him just because of the amount of hate he gets, the fact that people just want to see him lose that championship so bad, and people were so happy when he lost the title, then he won it back, you know, what, 2 months later, and everyone was so pissed again, and people are still pissed that he's champion. I just feel like he's the most hated guy on Raw, and I don't think any other heel, even though he's not rarely there, or even though he's rarely there, I should say, I feel like he gets the most heat in terms of when people, you know, see him, people just absolutely hate him. So, I don't know. Like I said, Raw is really lacking star power, and definitely when it comes to heels. So, especially when the top champion's a heel, and he's never there, you don't really have any, you know, heel contenders going after him. So you don't really have any top heels if they're not contending. So I don't know, that's just how I feel about it. So Brock Lesnar gets heel of the year if you ask me. From there I'm going to Cruiserweight of the year. Now I know the Cruiserweights aren't on Raw anymore, but the 205 Live brand technically is still part of Raw. Like you still see like the Lucha House Party on Raw and whatnot. So they're still a part of Raw in some capacity. And you know, I just thought I'd add it anyways, just because why not? And I'm gonna go ahead and give it to Buddy Murphy. I think Buddy Murphy was by far the best Cruiserweight of the year, you know, since coming in and winning that championship, and just, you know, the amount of great matches they had. Like the matches with Cedric Alexander were just spectacular. You know, the matches they had Mustafa Ali were great as well, with Kalisto. Just anyone he stepped in the ring with on 205 Live, Buddy Murphy was able to go out there and have a tremendous match with. And I feel like Buddy Murphy definitely was a breakout star in 205 Live, and definitely showcased himself as the best Cruiserweight. So in my opinion, I definitely think Buddy Murphy has been the best Cruiserweight on 205 Live. So I give Cruiserweight of the year to Buddy Murphy. Now, segment of the year. Now, another hard one because nothing pops out of my mind immediately. Honestly, when I think of segment-wise on Raw, nothing positive comes up. I think of the negative segments because, you know, the bad obviously outweighs the good. But one segment, and it's funny because it wasn't even due to a Raw superstar. Segment of the year, in my opinion, on Raw goes to when Becky Lynch invaded with the SmackDown Live roster, and when she got busted open by Nia Jax. I feel like that was the most captivating moment on Raw, and definitely the most talked about moment on Raw, and you know, in quite some time. You know, I honestly don't remember any other segments that really pop out. I mean, there are some Lesnar beatdowns on Roman Reigns that were pretty good, but segment-wise, you know, that maybe not. I remember being drunk too at the time, because for some reason, I feel like that was a good Raw to drink to. I remember being drunk and just seeing Becky put Ronda in the armbar backstage, and next thing I know, I see Becky with blood on her face. I actually tweeted, I'm like, whose blood's on Becky? Because I didn't know Becky got fucked up. I kept, you know, blacking in and out during that segment. So, and going back and rewatching it, I saw it, obviously, and was able to appreciate the segment for what it was. I thought it was tremendous. I thought they did a tremendous job, and they definitely were able to make Becky Lynch come off like a major star in that segment as well. So, in my opinion, segment of the year on Raw goes to when Becky Lynch invaded Raw. So, yeah, that's that. And from there we go to match of the year. Now this one was a little difficult because, like I said, most Raw matches didn't deliver this year, but there were some ones that did deliver. You know, like the Raw Tag Team title match at Hell in a Cell, Ambrose and Rollins challenging McIntyre and Ziggler, fantastic match. You know, the Intercontinental title match WrestleMania between Balor, Miz, and Rollins, another great match right there. So there were a handful of great matches on Raw this year. You know, Reigns and Balor from the night after SummerSlam, another great one. But this match, to me, stands out the most, and I truly do believe this was the best match Raw had, and which is very surprising, because going into it, you know, I didn't think it would be that great of a match. I mean, I was hyped for it, but I didn't think it would be nearly as good as it was. And that being Ronda Rousey and Kurt Angle taking on Stephanie McMahon and Triple H at WrestleMania 34 this year. That was an awesome tag team match. Ronda looked like an absolute star. She had a breakout performance in that match. She looked absolutely awesome. I already put Ronda over earlier in her performance here, but it truly was an awesome match. You know, the stuff with her and Triple H, and just, you know, the crowd was so invested in the match. I remember just being there and just being so invested and so energetic for that match, and it definitely pulled out to be the best match, you know, arguably the best match on that card, but in my opinion, the best match Raw had all year. So Kurt Angle and Ronda Rousey taking on Triple H, Stephanie McMahon, get my Raw match of the year. From there, I'll go to Superstar of the Year. Now, this one is a little difficult at times because, you know, I try to, with these, you know, I don't try to necessarily base it around the person who had the best matches. I try to kind of combine it with the best matches, the most accomplished. I try to, you know, mix in a bunch of different things with Superstar of the Year. But this one person, you know, even though he's kind of cooled down, you know, since the summer, but I feel like, you know, beginning of the year, you know, till WrestleMania, throughout the summer, he was just red hot, and he was just so consistent, and he was the most consistent guy on Raw here without a doubt. And that being Seth Rollins. There's no one hotter and better than Seth Rollins in 2018, in my opinion. No one comes close. You know, even though everyone was having these disappointing matches, I mean, minus TLC with him and Ambrose, but Rollins always delivered. You know, whether it was a match with The Miz at Backlash, that was amazing. One of The Miz's best matches of all time. He had a great match with Shinsuke Nakamura at SummerSlam, or not SummerSlam, Survivor Series. I mean, his Raw matches with Ziggler were good, but the pay-per-view matches I weren't really a fan of for the most part. But, you know, his match with Elias on Money in the Bank, Elias' best match to date. You know, just Seth Rollins was such on fire. And that Gauntlet match, how can you forget the hour-long performance Seth Rollins had in the Gauntlet match on Raw, where he wrestled for over an hour? That was just a tremendous performance from Seth Rollins right there. And like I said, the most consistent guy, and, you know, two-time Intercontinental Champion this year. And he really led the Raw brand, you know, obviously Lesnar is champion. So, I don't know. I just feel like Seth Rollins definitely had the best performance and, you know, just overall year out of anyone. And I'm very excited to see where his 2019 leads, because I do believe he can become a bigger star than he is already in 2019 if properly booked. So, yeah, Seth Rollins gets my Superstar of the Year. And, of course, the last category is Superstar to look out for in 2019. And pretty easy. Drew McIntyre, really, there's no one else really on the roster I feel will get a massive push, potentially be the Universal Champion, than Drew McIntyre. I feel like the sky's the limit for that guy. They're already behind him as it is, and I feel like, you know, 2019 will definitely be his breakout year, be a top guy on Raw, like I said, potentially be Universal Champion in 2019 as well. So I don't think anyone else really compares to potentially have a bigger year than Drew McIntyre in terms of 2019. So yeah, Superstar of the look out for in 2019 to me goes to Drew McIntyre. And that'll do it for my video, guys, for the year of Raw 2018. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did, please like below. Like I said, if you guys have not already, go ahead and feel free to check out my NXT The Year of 2018 video. Of course, tomorrow on New Year's Eve, I'll be uploading my SmackDown Live The Year of 2018 video to wrap up 2018. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, like I said once again. And until next time, I'll see you guys later. Thank you guys for watching the video. It doesn't matter.